Blog Talk Radio.
Archangels, ghosts, and Bigfoot, oh my. It's just another night for Supernatural Girls. Real stories, real answers to life's biggest supernatural mysteries. And now for another exciting interview with paranormal experts from this world and others. Here's your host, paranormal researcher Patricia Baker, on the one, the only Supernatural Girls.
Welcome, everyone, to another exciting episode of Supernatural Girls Radio. I'm your host, Patricia Baker, and I'm here with my co-host, PK. How are you tonight?
Absolutely fabulous, basting in the sun of Tucson. Ah, what a way to go. Finally.
So jealous, so jealous. It's freezing here. Freezing.
I apologize that you're freezing, but I'm grateful that I'm not, because it seems like it's taken forever for it to get here.
Oh, I know it. The weather's been very weird. Look at this. We had an earthquake. What, a 6.5 out in Idaho or somewhere? Oh, my God.
Idaho. Uh-huh.
What is going on? Well, as you remember, we had Betsy on last week, Betsy Lewis, and she did say there would be more big earthquakes, and there's one just last night.
Oh, yeah. And I'm sure there's another one coming right up behind it.
Oh, gosh. Definitely. Such crazy times. It just seems to get more and more strange.
I think we have reached the point in time when nothing's a surprise anymore.
Yeah. We need to get a thicker skin to it all, I guess, and just learn how to move through it. But tell us about the numbers. What did you find is going on? What do the numbers have to say?
This is an 8 universal month, which deals with our finances, people being in control, wanting to take care of everything. And the nice thing about it is, when I was putting it together, I thought, the financial part, that's going to be good. Everybody's going to enjoy that part, except that it came because we've had to close everything down, and people are going to be very stressed because of the financial aspect. There'll be money coming that hadn't been counted on. We already know that's going to happen, but it's not going to be enough to pull all of us through this. And it's going to have to be that we're going to have to really look at things in a new and different way. It's less will be more if we take care of it. And it's like some of these people that have been out stockpiling groceries and that and figuring if it doesn't work out, they'll bring it back. Little places like Trader Joe's that came out today where they've always accepted things back after the fact if people overbought. They said, not this time, because people are acting out of greed and not need, and they're stockpiling, figuring they'll take care of it later. And it's just a crazy time. Those that are in control really want to squeeze every last ounce out of it. And those that are willing to work as the leader and show others how to do it better, they're the ones that are going to make good things happen. But the nice part about it is, with everything that's ongoing, people are starting to be more human about being kind to their neighbors. I think that's something that we haven't seen in a long time. People letting other people go first, helping them do things. I've had a neighbor call and wanted to know, do I need them to shop for me? And another one called, do I need toilet tissue? The toilet tissue seems to be golden these days.
But made out of gold.
Nature, yeah. And so people are really stopping to say, wait a minute, none of us are in this alone. And the only thing that we're going to get alone is to leave the planet. And I don't plan on going anywhere for a while.
Yeah,
and I don't want anybody I care about doing it either.
That's right.
So
that's right.
Well, and work harder at keeping things ahead of the game and smarter. 8 wants to be in control. Yes, there's money that'll be there. Things are going to change monetarily. We'll really not see how it's going to fan out until we get to May. Right now, I think towards the end of the month, things are going to get a lot better than anybody thinks they are right now. And I think May will have some breathing space. But for right now,
I hope so. Well,
hold
remember
on
our guest last week too. She said May it was going to end. So you're absolutely in agreement with her. It's going to be May. It'll hopefully slow down.
Well, we're gonna. It's like being on a roller coaster right now. And I don't want. What was that commercial with that little piggies hanging out the window going wee? Well, I think that's going to be us. But right now, full tight. Oh no, it's gonna be okay. But we have to be at the point in time when we remember to be kind and conscious of what other people need, not just what we need.
Well, I want to give a shout out to a company here, Azure Green, that provides all kinds of New Age and Wiccan supplies for the entire world.
Mm-hmm.
It's the largest distribution outlet in the world, and they have been they kept their cook on because they have a big, beautiful commercial kitchen up there, and they are providing to-go meals 5 days a week for people up here if they need it. So
that's great.
It's fabulous. So basically they come to Azure Green, which is also called Blossom Center, and they get hit with a temperature gun to see if they have a fever or not. If they have a fever, out they go. If not, they can come in and they can pick up their to-go bags. And Adair was one of the owners was explaining to me. He said, the other day we cooked 3 big turkeys and, also supplement to that. And he said they were all gone. All of it, gone.
Oh.
So people are coming up, and also he said, some people are crying. They don't have money. They have kids to feed. So This is what they are doing for the community. They are giving back this way so that 5 days out of the week, anybody can come and get a meal. And if they want to contribute a donation, they can, and they don't have to if they can't. And so, again, at least people are being fed. We do not see the churches up here doing that or the town halls. They're all closed down. So it's really just this one facility that's had the heart and soul to do that for everybody up here. And
that's wonderful.
He told me some days they have 95 people coming in.
Oh, my goodness gracious. That's a lot to take care of.
It's a lot also for this area. I mean, in Middlefield, what do we have here? 240 households, and that's it. So, to have 95 people show up that need food, that's a lot. But again, there are people like you mentioned that are doing it the right way, in a loving, generous way, and not asking for anything in return.
Well, that's the part that opens your heart and makes you feel like everything's worthwhile when you see this taking place. There are so many people that are willing to help. Of course, there's always going to be that little bit of those that pop up with the greed, not the need, but that's always going to happen, unfortunately. And so did you see where they're now doing the stimulus? People are calling and say, well, we're working to get you your stimulus check. Can you give me your bank account number?
Oh, yeah, that's a terrible scam. Don't give out your bank account number, anybody. Just don't give it out. That means it's a bad sign, a big red flag if somebody calls you. Definitely, don't do it.
Well, we're going to have to remember to be kinder and nicer because that makes it nicer for us.
That's right. That's right. Well, thank you for sharing that. And as usual, we do have some great paranormal stories on our Facebook page. So go to Supernatural Girls on Facebook. Make sure to like and follow. Do the same with Twitter, if you would. It'd be wonderful because we've built up, thanks to you and me, PK. We have quite a few followers on Facebook and Twitter. We want to keep that momentum going, and make sure you tell everybody else about the show. We've got some fabulous shows coming up. We have a great one tonight. So make sure you go to Facebook, take a look at the newest stories. They're all there for you to enjoy. Take your mind off all this other stress and take a look at the unknown because that's always fun to do. And if you want your own numerology reading, this may be the time to get it. Go to patriciakirkman.com or go to supernaturalgirls.com, and PK is there. She's in both places at once, so you can contact her for your own personal reading, which I highly recommend. And if you want a soul realignment reading, dream analysis, or any type of counseling, then contact me. I'm at supernaturalgirls.com. You can just click on my email, tell me which service you want, and we'll find a spot for you. So that's what I wanted to say. The candles are still on sale, so go take a look at those. We're going to have a new shaman candle coming in soon. And, oh my goodness, just so many wonderful things going on with this show. We've got, again, a fabulous guest tonight, and here's who it is. His name is Bill Hall, and he is an author of a number of books about the paranormal. But the one we're going to be talking about tonight is called Phantom Messages. Now, these life-altering communications are direct contact by phone, computer, TV, radio, letter, and other mediums. Now, who are they from? Are they from entities? Are they from loved ones? Are they from ETs? Are they from the future or from the past? So, anyways, we're going to find out because they take photos. They deliver warnings. They cause havoc. They transcend time and more. So we're going to hear from the expert tonight, Bill Hall, about what these messages are all about. Now, just to know a little bit more about Bill, he's the author of the paranormal bestseller, The World's Most Haunted House, and the Haunted House Diaries. Now, he's an experienced researcher of the unexplained, from folklore and urban legend to fortune-telling, the pyramids, and other mysterious tales. Now, he's been interviewed around the world, and his syndicated column, Magic in the Unknown, ran for 6 years in multiple newspapers. Now, he has 2 sons, and he resides right next door in Plainville, Connecticut. Bill, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
We're excited to have you here with us tonight.
Yeah. What a great title, Phantom Messages. Well, tell us a little more about you. How come you fell in love with the paranormal?
Well, you know, I grew up with In Search Of and all of that. As a Night Stalker, and I was doing magic as a kid. So I mean, it was all kind of natural fascination. And then later on in magic, researching and investigating some things, most of them being more on the hoax side, but then running across other stories and, you know, cases, if you will, that were quite intriguing. And after hitting on a number of them, a few of them, I went deeper and deeper, and as you get a fascination with that, and you find some are, really have some meat to them and are quite fascinating. And, from there, of course, it expands. And I would say it probably started really big with more on the UFO end in the 80s with ordering newspapers from interlibrary loan in those days, and sending away and paying for government reports, and getting letters saying they don't exist, then getting another letter saying here it is enclosed, and all that kind of thing. It kind of started on the UFO thing, and then I think as a natural you go and say, okay, let me, this is cool too, or let me look at this and let me look at that, and the Lindley Street case was a real, that was a real incredible example of a case that would be as close, or in some cases better if you were alone, than if you actually experience it yourself. In other words, there was so much documentation and witnesses and everything that it was kind of the Roswell of haunted houses. So it really was a way that people could share and then experience if they haven't had it for themselves. Obviously, if you've had it for yourselves, or it's amongst a family, and we've all seen it, that kind of thing. Okay, well, you have it. But Lindley Street really opened a door, that kind of research. Same with some of the UFO documents that, wow, there's some things that really are a little weird, and, we don't know, everything, but we can categorize them and kind of look at them. And that's kind of how Phantom Messages got our interest. Jimmy Patanito, you may know him from the Haunted Chronicles, and
yes.
But we're good friends, and and we ended up talking. We both loved the phone calls from the dead and that kind of thing. And and we thought, well, there's these kind of messages across all the paranormal literature, whether you're talking about, aliens, whether you're talking about ghosts, whether you're talking, it doesn't matter what you're talking about. They're all over the place. Mothman, whatever it is. These examples of phantom messages exist throughout the literature. But I don't want to say no one, but no one in this broad sense extracted them and brought in new cases and said, let's look at it across the gamut. There's, I forget his name, Colin did, and there's a few in my resources, a few people that did an outstanding job doing some of that. And phantom messages, our idea was let's take it broader than just what these other kinds of things are focused on, like just phone calls or, just we wanted to see any unexpected communication that you don't go looking for,
Yes,
and
exactly.
Right, and of course the big question that most of us had on our mind is, have they kept up with technology? And of course the answer is the technology doesn't really matter. And I don't think, of course, that entities have learned cell phones. I think it's irrelevant. I think it's the modality is a little bit different than what we may imagine. But
well, that's part of the fascinating aspect of this is how are they using our technology to reach us? And I mean, that is the big question. Now, I know when we had Robin Foy on the show from the Skull Project, which they had 6 mediums all sitting together in a room, and they produced amazing results. But it's one of those things where you go, my God, where is it coming from? And they had apports show up. They had things drop out of the just out of the air onto their table from ceiling height, and it would be something verifiably from another time. So here you are with these actual voicemails and communications that were heard by more than one person. And let me ask you this, because as I was reading through them, I noticed a lot of them were just short communications. Did you come across anybody that had an actual conversation, a back and forth, what we would call a conversation of exchanging ideas or saying hello? Did you come across anything like that when you were writing the book?
Well, the haunted cable box would be an example of that. That was I don't know if that might have been in the bonus case section, but it actually is a phantom message. That's communication by code with this cable box. That's one example.
So
and then
you have a ton of stories in there, but like I said, so they're mostly one-way streets, right, where they just throw out a sentence or a couple of words, but then there's the rare time that they actually do more than that, and you've had some of those stories in the book too.
Yes, we tracked frequency, type of communication, whether it's computer, letter, doodle board, radio, whatever. Definitely frequency was important. Did it happen just once, or did it happen, multiple times, or over 300 times, like in the case of, the giant, incredible Dodlinson case. But
tell us some stories, if you would. Tell us some stories of these cases so people can get an idea of what they're going to find in the book, because you have some amazing stories all the way through this thing. Pick out some of your favorites.
Well, one that, and some, you mentioned time slips. One category that is one of my, they're all, of course, extremely fascinating, but the time slip ones are the ones that are most intriguing. And one of the ones that really you could walk around just thinking, it just pops into your head. It's just really impacts you deeply. Is David Fritz from Cape Cod, Massachusetts, back about a month before 9/11. Dave was an alcohol and drug addiction counselor, so he always had his cell phone on him all the time. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden he gets a phone call that goes straight to voicemail. There's no phone number or time can see. And so he goes to play it, and he explained to us that he got an eerie feeling of dread that was really hard for him to put into. He says it's really hard for me to explain or put into words. He said, I felt sick instantly. I heard no voice, but I heard the sound of wind and crunching metal.
Oh. That's scary. So, what do you think happens when a spirit reaches out from the other side of the veil? Do you think this is all an electronic phenomenon that they've learned to manipulate electromagnetic energy from the other side in order to present themselves or their messages?
Is William, are you still there?
No, I think he got bumped. He'll be back.
Yeah, all of a sudden I had that feeling, but I was going through the different
that
titles.
That eerie feeling. They pulled him back.
Oh, good.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, I that's one thing. I've had a lot of experiences in the unknown, but I have not had this happen where I've gotten a phone call or an email from somebody who died. Have you?
No, but different times, the smelling of tobacco, or the lights flipping on and off when certain things were transpiring, that I've gotten, or that.
But not
feeling
the phone
that,
call. I would love to get a phone call like that.
Call.
Okay, here's Bill. He's back with us. I'm going to bring him live again.
Good deal.
Yay. Hello?
Hey,
Could
Bill,
you
you're back on the air.
Oh, great. Okay.
I don't know what happened,
Sorry
but suddenly you were gone.
Yeah, and I don't know when that was. Hopefully it wasn't like 10 minutes ago. No.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It was only 2 minutes ago.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you remember where the last thing you heard?
Oh, my God, you're testing our memory. And we're going so quickly in this show.
Well, Dave Fritz from Cape Cod, about a month before 9/11, I was saying he was an alcohol and drug addiction counselor. He had his cell phone on him at all times. And he gets his voicemail. He can't make out the number of time. This is about a month before the towers went down. And he listens to it. He said eerie feeling of dread. He just felt completely sick instantly. He said that he couldn't, there was no talking, he said, but he heard the sound of wind, crunching metal in the background, and people were screaming in terror. And the phone call lasted 3 minutes exactly. And so he thought that was extremely odd. And every morning he's getting the same message, going straight to his voicemail, lasting exactly 3 minutes. He ends up, of course, starting to share it with people. He says he plays it for his girlfriend and some close friends. He didn't tell them what to think or anything. He said, look, I got this weird message on my phone. Take a listen. It's really weird, And he played it. And they all responded the same way, which is odd, because even if you left me a message and, you know, it was whatever, bizarre noises, whatever, I would say, oh, TV's on, or, you know, whatever, crank call,
Sure.
you know. Right. You know, it wouldn't necessarily, you know, but with these kinds of messages, and it's of course not abnormal of a response in you know, for other paranormal phenomena too, I'm sure you agree, but
yes,
it's that you instantly know this is different. Now, yes, I mean, you know, sometimes we can get fooled to that degree, but this is what's amazing about these kinds of calls is, especially time slip kind of ones. It's not like, it's, you know, a recording of a TV show or something. You instantly know, no, this is different. This is real. This is like not a recording. This is really happening. This is, you know, it's a very different kind of experience, and not a normal reaction. And of course, you know, Dave knew that. You know, how would he feel that way and why? And you know, it's not like a regular kind of reaction that he had ever gotten to anything. You know, and
well, he must have been very shocked when the towers went down, and he remembered that message.
That's really what we're getting to. He played it for other people, and they all did. But what he did was he got rid of the phone. So he ended up getting rid of. He said that's it. So he got sick of the calls. He gets rid of the phone, and he also switches providers. So he's got a new phone number, new provider, and the calls stop until the morning before the towers fell. He gets a call, one last call to the new phone, the new phone number,
wow.
new service provider. Yeah, the same 3-minute message, and then you know the towers fall, and he never gets a call again. And you know, like Dave says, hey, you know, I can't tell you that's what I heard. He says, but geez, you know, you gotta wonder, you know.
You do. Absolutely.
You know, it's certainly, you know, and what's interesting is a common question that I get asked about that is, and I think it's probably a common thought, and I always try to say, you know, let's step back and never close ourselves to possibly, you know, other kinds of, you know, reasons or lack of reasons. You know, some people would say, well, why would the phone line be interrupted to send him this message if we can't do anything to stop it? And my feeling is, and of course, you know, the answer is, well, we don't really know why or what, you know. We often think of terms that everything has to have an agent, or that we like things to have an agent because it's very explainable to us. How did it happen? Joe moved it. You know, it's very easy, you know. So we like to have an agent. So here, this case, they automatically say, why are we being sent this message if we can't stop it? And I don't think there's an agent responsible for sending the message. I think it's simply that you happen to be it could happen to be in a flap area, or you happen to be in the particular area. Obviously, you have this giant disaster. It would be all the telltale perfect recipe for a time slip occurrence to happen.
Yes, because
it
was such a violent thing too.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what I mean. I don't think it necessarily has to be, you know, and we all, of course, you know, that it's, of course, not my theory, but it's, you know, it's very common for us to know that it has to do with, you know, frequency and, you know, that kind of thing. So if it happens to, you know, just resonate over that line, just like a vibration would cause a tone on an instrument, that kind of thing, it happens to just click together and, ride the bus to wherever it goes. And it happened to go to Dave.
And it's so interesting to me, though, Bill, that some entities that have passed, or they're just entities in another dimension, have mastered the use of our electronics, but some haven't, because as I was just saying to PK when you got kicked off the air there by something, that
right.
with all the paranormal experiences that both PK and I've had, we've had quite a few over the years, never had a phone call. I would love to have a phone call from a spirit or an entity or an ET or whatever. I think that would be absolutely great. But I've never really had it. The closest that I came to that was when I was working with Marianne Shenefield, who was an abductee many years ago, and we were having a conversation on the phone late at night, and all of a sudden something broke into the line, and it sounded like a computer voice. I couldn't make out what it was saying, but it was clearly a third voice on a line, and this was years ago, no cell phones yet. This was just on a landline. So that was the closest I ever came to this. But these personal messages that you write about are amazing. I mean, like the girl who was 16 years old. You want to tell us that story and how she was leaving her I think it was her grandmother's house or her parents' house, and she almost got smacked by the train, but she was warned just in time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yes, and she actually she came and told that story live after some coaxing, and let me tell you, it's quite a story. But she makes very clear. I mean, the area, and she sent there's a picture in the book, but the area where there's a train crossing, she didn't see it, and she swears, and she says, I know it's that this voice came over in the radio, that it was an hallucination, and it fed into some other actual experiences that she's had, but those are what what we classify as, and I think as you mentioned, like a single occurrence, and those are fascinating, but always a bit harder because you don't have, of course, a lot of information usually with those, so you're kind of left, like my own is that way. My own experience could either be coincidence or it could be something, but I don't know. It only
Tell us
happened
about
once, it. That one was it was me and a magician friend of mine, because both magician friends, we were doing shows together and everything. So anyhow, for fun, we would go to the graveyard and we'd do some magic and stuff. We're weird. That's why we didn't get dates. But anyhow, and
quite an audience there.
Yeah, right. That's right. Thank you, PK, for laughing. I appreciate that. And so we said, well, let's try to contact somebody. Hey, what the heck, So we go to one of the graves, and I remember the name was Mary. I don't remember her last name, but and it was one of those graves that had the little oval pictures of the people.
Oh
on them.
yeah, like a little cameo shot. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so so we got her name. We settled on that one, and I said, okay, we'll put my car radio on. So like a pure static. I said, okay, we're going to leave it. And then we just talked and did other things for about, 45 minutes or so, or, maybe it was only a half hour. And it was quite a while, though. We're pretty good little
scientists. You guys are patient.
Yeah, well, we wanted to make sure that if we did this, we wanted to at least try to isolate as many variables as possible so that we can see if, it's more likely to be something than just noise, So,
right.
So after running it with no interruption of talking or anything for, all that time, it was just pure static. It's not even on the teeter-totter. It was like 100% static, And so we started saying, Mary, tell us if you're here, Mary, and so nothing's happening. And then he goes, on the count of 3, let's just yell, Mary, show us you're here, or whatever. And so we did it, and we yelled it real loud, and the radio station right at that moment stopped from static and went back to static, and we were like, holy crap.
Oh my goodness.
So
there she was.
So you look at that and you say, hey, maybe it was something, or maybe it wasn't. But it's one of those, and of course there are coincidences that are that bizarre or even rarer that are simply that. But then again, you can't help but experience that and go, wow, that was pretty wild. So who knows? But again, if it happened, like if we did it, let's say we went back and every time we did it, it happened, then that would be like amazing. And nobody else's name, or it didn't happen with anybody else, only Mary, then you get to something where you can figure out, and that doesn't discount the single experiences. It just makes them sometimes tougher. But the ones that fascinate me, of course, are all of them. But it's especially wild because people doubt themselves too. Of course, as I'm sure we all have. You start saying, "Jesus, is this real? Or I really seeing this? Maybe I'm hallucinating." You know what I mean? Well, no, he said it too. Okay, So we all go through that. But so with the Phantom Messages, it's amazing when you have something like a voicemail, and it's from someone who's deceased, and not only is it a voicemail that it wasn't like, it was delayed, it was digital, it was analog. It doesn't matter. Digital, analog, doesn't matter how it, it doesn't matter what kind of technology you have. The message comes through, and the person is talking in present tense and mentions stuff that happened like after they died. So, and talking, and most of these people, not all of them, but in most of the cases that I've read about in my research dating back from the 40s on, when they really started getting big with, the phone call phenomena.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Of course, they've been waiting for that since the phone was invented. It's just a natural. We're humans. Oh, you got a phone? Oh, hey, can we call it? Can we call up grandma that passed? No, it doesn't work that way, Rob. But that's the way we are. So.
Well, what's so interesting too?
Graham Bell wanted to do that.
Yeah, I mean, some, like I said, there's such a variety here. I mean, some spirit voices show up through the radio. Some come through phone. Now, what about the ones that send emails? Yes,
the email ones. Now, again, there's of course there's the people and then there's we don't know, entities or whatever you want to call it, and time slips, maybe not an entity at all, all those kinds of things. One of the famous email ones is Jack. I always say his name wrong. Jimmy usually tells the story, but Jack throws his emails. This guy was younger. He dies unexpectedly, and the family starts getting emails from him.
Oh my God.
So one friend gets an email from him, from his email, and the subject line says, "I'm watching," and the email says, "Did you hear me? I'm at your house. Clean your effing attic." Jack. Yeah, right. And
it's going to make you want to go right home.
Yeah, that is fun. Yeah. Well, and now Jack and this guy, I believe it's Tim, these two were together in his attic before he died, obviously. And the guy was talking, saying, I might, want to finish up here a little bit, whatever. and Jack was going on about, man, your attic's filthy and blah, blah, blah. And it's not like the two of them would go around, like, telling everybody about it. You know what I mean? It was one of those kind of things. So now he's saying in this email, you know, clean your attic. And then he's sending emails to other people, to other people in the family. And one of them, I think his arm or whatever, didn't even tell anybody about it. And he was at home, and the email comes in. You know, I told you should have been careful. You know, I see you broke your arm. You know.
Yeah, they're wild.
And
absolutely.
And there's you know, now you'd say, well, maybe his account was hacked, but you know, there's no evidence that anything was hacked. You know, we looked at, well, you know, there are services where you can send out stuff after you die, but I mean that's kind of weird and stupid, and there's no, you know, he had a good sense of humor, but the problem with that excuse, what to say, but you know, we just go through the list, you know. But the problem with that one is this email, like a lot of these communications, what makes them so fascinating is they have time stamps in them. Mm-hmm. They're not talking about a month ago. They're talking about now, and you have to be alive now in order to know what's going on now, you know. So that's what makes them fascinating. And so they didn't figure out what happened. The phone calls went on for weeks. Not phone calls. The emails went on back and forth for weeks. Jack sent an email saying, hey, I tried, one of the other friends' emails, but it didn't go through. Tell him I said whatever, you know. And it was just, it's amazing. And they did not, you know, and again, these are people who aren't well, as you know, they're not making up a story, but I mean, but even still, I mean, they say, geez, we don't know. We find it hard to believe that somebody would do that, you know, there's not really a motive, you know, who would know them, you know, they're thinking who would know us that well and would want to do it, you know, it just doesn't make sense, you know.
Right.
And the poor guy really is dead, so otherwise, you know, Jack would be the prime suspect of something like that. But so yeah, there are those amazing, and there's a lot with the emails, even with there was the train, the big train crash where the guy was dead on impact, but his cell phone kept calling loved ones all night.
Yeah, but it was 35 times he made calls on it.
Yeah.
I thought that was fascinating. And his girlfriend was on her way to pick him up.
Yeah, very sad. Very sad.
The sad part about it is things haven't changed when you think about it, because the engineer, as you put it there, was texting.
Yeah,
the crash happened.
And that was quite a few years, I think. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Well,
yeah, no, you're absolutely.
Yeah. And it's interesting too that, you know, the energy the residual energy that's here after death is measurable, and it also can be captured on camera. I remember some filmmakers that had a wonderful shot. It was actually, I should say carefully, it was tragic that it happened at all, but they did get a wonderful photograph. And what happened was there were a bunch of teenagers out drinking and driving, and they hit a tree, a rather large immovable object, and the young man died. His body was thrown into the front area of the seats, and the photograph captured his head above the car, and his mouth was open as if he was screaming, "No." So,
oh my!
Yeah, but you could see also not only his face, his head. I mean, it was clearly this young man who was killed. He was only 16 years old. I mean, just his whole life in front of him, which is so sad. But you could see the energy, you know, and they could see all of these other lines of energy that were still connected to his body, which was in the front seat area of that car. So energy is energy. And, he was able to have such a burst of energy when he died that it was captured on film. This is before digital. And it was captured by a crime scene police photographer. So he didn't see anything through the viewfinder, but when he went to actually, again, it's a long time ago, develop the pictures, he saw all of this, and it was remarkable. So there is so much energy that gets transferred from this life into another world, and certainly you can see where somebody might reach for their cell phone thinking they're still alive and try to make phone calls and things like that. It could absolutely happen if you think about a quantum world, and certainly energy is energy. It makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. You just made me think of one of the stories where the case where the husband borrows the daughter's cell phone and calls the mother. It's just crazy. It's just, but it is funny like that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, Bill, we're going to just take a very short commercial break.
Sure.
So hold that thought. We're going to come back. I want to hear more too about ETs communicating through whatever means in delivering messages. Okay, that's another great part of your book. So we are going to take a very short commercial break, and then we'll be right back. Everybody who are listening to Supernatural Girls Radio, stay tuned.
There are a lot of psychics out there. How do you decide which one is right for you? You look for someone who empowers you, who's practical and spiritually connected, who says, here are your opportunities, here are your challenges, and here's a way to deal with them, and then gives you your own toolbox to make your life everything you want it to be. Hi, I'm Corby Mitleid, and that's how I work with you. As a certified professional tarot reader, I've helped thousands of people for over 40 years through my toolbox. Cards, past life retrieval, numerology, spirit guide conferences, and mediumship. Whether it's career, relationships, finances, or your spiritual road, together we can replace your confusion with clarity. And you'll probably find a little laughter along the way. Visit me at CorbyMitleid.com to find out how to cross your bridge from fear to fearlessness and fly. And tell me you found me at Supernatural Girls for a special gift with your reading. Corby Mitleid, the practical psychic for catching your tomorrows today. Find me at CorbyMitleid.com. That's CorbyMitleid.com.
Pure essential oils, specialized minerals, and a revolutionary anti-aging technology. Astridian combines the best of all scientifically proven ingredients in easy-to-use creams, lotions, and concentrated serums. Astridian's advanced line of products take your skin to a new level of being healthy and beautiful. We offer a variety of collections that address all your skin concerns. The Essential Anti-Aging Series treats and moisturizes your skin for a long-lasting, younger look. The Multivitamin Series promotes healthy skin with high-quality vitamins and minerals. The Sports Series restores skin from cellular damage and stress. Astridian also offers a revitalizing solution for hair and a professional series for doctors and medical spas. Visit astridian.love today and begin your new journey to healthy, beautiful, youthful skin. Astridian, beyond your expectations.
Your property tax bill. Have you seen it lately? It's frightening. Your property taxes are going up while your home value is going down. It's time to fight back and win. For the real truth about the property tax system, get attorney Pat Quintilian's book, Are You Getting Screwed on Your Property Taxes? How to Find Out and How to Fix It. Attorney Quintilian answers all your questions and gives you the facts you need to fight a property tax bill that is spiraling out of control. You'll also read about what happens to property owners who don't check their property records, only to find out too late they're taxed on square footage, fixtures, and even buildings that they don't own. Is this happening to you? Learn your rights. Buy Attorney Pat Quintilian's book today. Are You Getting Screwed on Your Property Taxes? How to Find Out and How to Fix It. Available on Amazon.com.
Are you frustrated with endless mantras, affirmations, and processes that promise to align your life with your dreams, only to find yourself years later in the same space where you began? Do you feel like you must be doing something wrong because nothing seems to be working? Don't you just wish that someone could shift your consciousness for you and your life could align with your desires without all the effort? Well, your wish is about to come true. Hi, I'm Carrie Cannon, and I have a gift that allows me to align the consciousness of others to be in harmony with their dreams. The best part is, it requires no particular effort on your part. Upon listening to a consciousness alignment, people have reported instant energy shifts, financial windfalls, soulmate connections, healed relationships, physical healings, and more. To gain access to a free trial offer for my entire Manifesting Miracles library of consciousness alignments, go to commandmiracles.com now for details. Again, that's commandmiracles.com for information about our free trial offer. That's commandmiracles.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to Supernatural Girls Radio. I am your host, Patricia Baker. I'm here with my co-host, PK, Patricia Kirkman, and our guest tonight. So much fun to be talking to Bill Hall about phantom messages, the mysterious world of impossible messages from beyond the grave. Now, Bill, I told you I was going to ask you about these ETs that are coming through also. Can you share some stories about that?
Yes. One that really intrigues me because elements of this later end up coming true, which is makes it really fascinating, is Jack Sarfatti, who is a theoretical physicist, and when he was a kid, and he was like 13, he was reading electronic instructions and manuals, and
wow.
Meanwhile I'm reading comic books, and but anyhow, so Jack was a smart one, and he was getting these phone calls, and he would the mother later said that he would walk around like he was in a trance, and he thought it was only one phone call, but the mother said, "Oh no, you were getting a lot of calls." Finally, I told him to stop, and it stopped. But basically, the voice was saying, "Do you want to be part of an elite group? We are an artificial intelligence spacecraft, and so if you would like to be part of this group, come and meet us in the back and at this time," or whatever. So little Jack gets all his friends to go meet to see the spacecraft or to get picked up. And, of course, nobody shows up. And, right. And so you'd say, well, what kind of story is that? But what's really wild is on these phone calls, they told them, in exactly, 20 years, and you'll have to make a decision whether you want to be part of this elite group or not. And he said yes. This is when he was a kid on the phone call. He didn't want to say yes, but he felt himself. He couldn't help himself. He said yes. And so all those years later, Jack is actually part of an exclusive academic group of kind of rogue scientists, if you will, just like in the old days where all the famous scientists would hang out together. And Jack is not just a physicist. He actually is credited with and not inventing, I would say, but discovering, because quantum science. And Jack today himself to study consciousness and artificial intelligence. Basically,
oh my goodness.
And so talk about coming full circle with an experience that he had from these phone calls to becoming one of the world's top physicists. I mean, he lectures other physicists. I'm not saying everything he says is correct or all his theories are correct, because, like the famous saying goes, if you think you know quantum physics, you don't know quantum physics. Far more complex.
Great line.
Yeah, it's far more complex than to simply say this is the way it is and that's it. But of course, everybody has their theories they're adamant about. But in any event, he definitely is the physicist. Like him or hate him, he really did fulfill everything that phone call said. I mean, he ended up being part of that elite group. It was during that exact amount of time. It was kind of a robotic voice. The mother said it was kind of a cold. It was that typical kind of extraterrestrial associated robotic cold-sounding voice as one description.
Now, Bill, do you attribute this type of phone call to be coming from the future? Because we've heard that a lot just recently, too, with ETs, that are they really our future? And they're just coming from there to here. But this AI group, this very special elite force, I mean, they obviously chose this young man for something big. So, but did they come from the future? Because they seem to have such an amazing amount of material. They probably downloaded it into this kid when he was little. It's a possibility, because in his life had this path that was amazing.
He was already way too smart for his own good at that age, of reading electronic manuals. I don't know. Jimmy and I are envious. That's all. But
that also may be why they chose him, also, because he had that kind of mind.
Yeah, that's why I didn't get the
possibility.
The cool phone call.
They saw you reading those comic books, Bill.
Yeah, they're like, oh, look, he's picking his nose. No, we're not him. He's not the one. No, but
right.
but that's interesting. And again, if you ask him, what do you think? And he says, I don't know. He said one thing, but the thing that he thought was the weirdest is that he only remembers one phone call with those instructions, whereas mother remembers, at first not knowing who was calling him, and he's kind of, walking around and it's kind of almost like in a trance kind of thing. And so that was interesting because it had the mother dimension to it. Otherwise when you're a child,
another witness.
You're trying to, more because of the memory. Our memories are so bad and so faulty. And we fill in 75% of the reality. I remember when I got back together with my buddies I was in a band with, and there was 4 of us, and we're getting together, I don't know, 20, 25 years later. It takes 4 of us to get one complete story. I'm over there saying, oh yeah, remember that's when Jack spilt that beer. No, it wasn't a beer, it was he had, his girlfriend fell. Oh no, it wasn't his girlfriend, it was his sister. And then after all 4 of you discuss it out, you finally figured out, oh no, it wasn't Jack at all. That was some other guy we didn't know. We thought it was Jack. Remember? Oh yeah. But I mean, it's just our minds are not very reliable at all. And any optical illusion book will instantly tell you and confirm that. And as Houdini once eloquently said, and I can't help but quote him in here, that he says he's never seen anyone be able to accurately describe anything that they've experienced. He says there's complete inability to accurately recount anything. And that we learn from magic. I mean, magicians are taught to instill in you the inability to correctly recount the details that matter, right? Yeah, you know, the notes that you want heard are the notes you emphasize, and the other notes are not. They're on the upbeats. You know, those are the ones you miss, and those are the ones that make the miracle possible. So the reality is, it's very easy because when you go to reconstruct something, you'll screw it all up, and and you don't need a con person or a con man or a magician to help you do that. We do that all by ourselves.
Yeah, we sure do. Goodness me. Now, what about other voices that have come in or messages that have come in? Some of them have been terrifying. Some of them have not been helpful at all.
Yes, and you know, and that's always the that's always the wonder is are they, some of course appear very negative, and others you just don't know. But the Mothman messages, they're, I don't know if we would call that necessarily an alien, but definitely in the paranormal, realm. And those kind of messages to John Keel, when he was going to a hotel and he wasn't even planning on it, he just happens to pull over and there's all these messages left for him and they're all gibberish, and that stuff's weird. That's that kind of time slip, and sometimes you wonder, is that a message somebody trying to get through, that it's the only way they can get through, to let you know that that they know it's a time slip, or that they're from I don't even like to say future, because it's kind of a weird concept, but time is I studied it enough to be completely confused, but time all depends on your point of reference. So the time is fascinating, and it's always interesting to say, well, are they from the future? Well, they may not be from the future, but we may be from the past, So it might not be as miraculous as we think. It's simply that if you're at a different point, I mean, it's like me surprising people of 1986, and I know what's going to happen,
Yeah.
So,
right.
But, so it's always interesting. You don't know, because, to us, our future could be someone else's past or present, or it could be kind of an irrelevant thing if you're going, to your point, in the quantum, between multiverses, then it becomes even more, versatile, if you will, But yeah, we had one that was rather shocking to the scientists. But he was a Israeli ambassador to the United Nations, talking with a comrade, and they actually do paranormal research, which is really cool, and they got a phone call interruption, and it had a lot of the classic indicators. It had the one doctor on the other side did not hear anything. He just had the interruption, the static, and the interruption part of it. And then on the other doctor's end, he had what I can only describe as, it starts as kind of an echo, but then it almost develops into a different kind of voice, and it's almost like almost like a monster-y voice is the only way to describe it. And it's kind of hard to make out, what's being said. He has some of his theories, but but it's funny listening to him because he asked a question. I can't hear you. You're going to have to speak clearer. I mean, it's really funny. Listen, I mean, I don't mean to laugh, but he does a good job. He's like, you're going to have to speak clearer. Who are you? You know, he's asking all the right questions, all the, you know, but and then he talks with his friend later, and his friend, I don't know what you're talking about. So he sends this off. He was recording, because they later go and make notes because they were meeting, and
right.
He has this recording analyzed, and he sends me the report, and it's real fascinating. Basically, it says it's not synthetic, meaning it's not like a synthesized voice or
right.
altered. Yeah. It didn't appear to be a human voice. You know, they can't rule out that it wasn't something computer generated, but it doesn't match anything.
Oh,
which is
very interesting.
Which is really, really cool. You know.
That is. I mean, it actually starts to give you some verification in this logical side of the world, and so this makes sense. We need to pay attention to this, But again, it's so fascinating to me, Bill, because it's like, why are certain people chosen? You know, certain methodologies to just decide who's going to get a phone call, who's going to get an email. I mean, it's just so many. There's so many factors involved, so many choices that are being made on the other side in relation to how they're going to get a message across.
And that's I think we hit it on the nail on the head. What we all wonder about. And, I think Houdini said it very well. He said he knows that it has nothing to do with how much somebody loves somebody. He said, because you can't tell me that I don't love the people in my life as much as, anyone else, And he had pacts with, a dozen friends, this is our secret signal. He really wanted to, he really went all out. It was admirable for him he really wanted to find it. Unfortunately, of course, in his time, that fraud was very prevalent, which of course wasted a lot of his time. I would have loved to get him in a house that had like a poltergeist or something, where would have really, would have been a much different. Yeah, but the poor guy, he didn't, you had to go of what the focus was at the time and what was going on and everything. But anyhow, but that to me is the fascinating thing of those messages is just that,
Yeah.
I was fascinated with Ida Lupino when she was a youngster, getting that phone.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's that's chilling when you have somebody saying, "Look, I need to talk to you. It's an emergency. I need to talk to you. You sound sick. And then they thought, "Oh, he died 3 days ago." It's like, oh my, that's like something out of absolutely unbelievable. And but yeah, the ones with the voicemails are the most chilling because the difficult thing when you're alone is, and that's of course always the difficult thing about hallucination, is you never really know if you're hallucinating or not. You don't think you are, but unless of course, obviously if you're going into a case and it's a poltergeist, it's a poltergeist, you're not hallucinating, But what I'm saying is, if it's some other random thing, it becomes difficult without any frame of reference. That's the words I'm looking for. So it's really cool when you have these other frames of references, and not just witnesses, but just other corroborations. But there's all kinds of those communications. The girl that's on the way to visit the boyfriend, and her home phone is calling him even though she's in her car on the way, and there's nobody in the house, and you get all of these kinds of very strange happenings, and some of them have other hauntings involved that are part of, and that's a very active or deep part. And other times not. It's just the the communication part alone is the thing. I think the most extreme one besides Doblinson, which was over 300 messages, was one that was reported in Fate magazine, I think in the 50s. And it was a lady whose mother died, and they used to talk on the phone every day at 4 p.m. or whatever, and I think it was for about a year and a half or a year, some outrageous amount of time. They kept talking. Mm-hmm. I mean, the mother had no idea she was dead. She was just talking, like
right.
just regular stuff going on. She, the daughter's telling her what's going on, and she's telling her what she's doing, and she's like, and then finally she's like, it just stopped. Because she didn't. She's like, I don't know.
That's very unusual.
Like, I don't know what to do. Do I tell her, why are you calling me? You're dead, or
Yeah, right.
Don't you know you're supposed to
I want answers. Why are you calling me? You're dead. Yeah, but that's
not
another
in this
example.
Universe, I'm not. So that's
that's
the other.
it.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I always like to say, when people say here and the other side, and I like when you said one of the other or whatever, because I think, why even limit it to one side? I mean, if the multiverse is there, it's unlimited sides, so that means the possibilities, of course, all the craziness of the paranormal makes perfect sense then.
Well, it does, and also in another dimension, they may still be in a physical body. So that's another thing to consider.
Right. So and that's what my friend Mark D'Antonio, who's an astrophysicist, he would call that a multi-world intersect. So if you have somebody who dies at the funeral and you're seeing them walk and you're like, it's their ghost, he would argue, no, they're not dead. That's two worlds intersecting.
Oh,
so
wow.
you're seeing in this world he's dead, in that world he's not. In another world maybe he never existed at all. I mean, that's what quantum physics would tell us. Mm-hmm. If the most popular theory is true, the multiple worlds theory, and the next popular theory is the one that's most horrifying for me to imagine. I can't discount it because I'm not intelligent enough to even understand it, but I think even the experts admit it's somewhat far-fetched, and that's the holographic universe theory, the Matrix, right. That it's all a computer game or something, And
sometimes it's that.
Yeah, and there's a lot of arguments against that, but then again, there's a lot of what scares me. Well, it doesn't really scare me because, hey, if it's an illusion and I don't know the difference, what do I care? But the interesting thing about that with that whole Matrix thing and holographic universe is it's I think it's one of those things that is just impossible. It's very difficult for us to even imagine that as a concept. But luckily, there's a number of reasons why that's most likely not true. But it does slightly scare me that there's some incredibly intelligent people that some of the most intelligent physicists that choose that one. So it's like, although who knows? Like I always say, it could be door number 3. I mean, that's. I always like to say, here's what I think it is. Here's what my best theory is, and I'm going to try to make up maybe 3 other things that it could be. If I could, try to broaden my thinking. What, is could I look at it differently? Because we look at things from our point of view. So we're very self-centered. All life's important unless you're a virus or an ant. So we're very selective in that. And when we look at the paranormal, we're very quick to judge evil, motives, human motives on inhuman things, or potentially inhuman things, a mix, even with UFOs or life on other planets. And scientists are usually the ones to warn us, as creative as we all could be, all the science fiction lovers and everything. But scientists warn us that, life on other planets could be very, very different in terms of culture, in terms of lifestyle, in terms of what they think are important. It could be completely different than the human things that you want to put on them. Just like if you want to put human motives into ants, you'll fail because it's different, and we don't even understand it all yet. So
no, we're far from that. That's for sure.
Yeah, and that's right here. That's right here on Earth, So it does fascinate me that, and they could be very similar too, because like Mark had always said, well, depending on the oxygen, this and that, they would be like us, except they'd be shorter. They would be this. The eyes would be this. They would, and some of the the ways that aliens are reported looking, that would be kind of a natural development based on a certain kind of atmosphere or whatever. That all, if the building blocks are kind of the same, if they are, and they appear to be, then then that's.
Bill, also, did you come across anybody?
So different,
Did you come across anybody in your book that had an experience with demons? I mean, they're quite powerful. We've had Dr. Richard Gallagher on the show before, and he's a board-certified Yale-trained psychiatrist. And he came on the show and he said, "Look, those things are real. I know it because I've seen it." And he talked about working with some people that were actually possessed. So, again, they could raise people up in the air and spin them around, do all the things that we saw in The Exorcist years ago. So there's a lot of power with demons. And I was wondering if you had any stories to share about that, messages coming from a powerful demon to some poor soul.
We tend to classify as unknown entities, but we didn't go into exorcisms or anything like that as part of Phantom Message, because it's, I guess it's because, you could consider them a Phantom Message, I guess, but we didn't consider them in that, I guess, in that area of subject, because it was coming through the voice is coming through a person.
Yeah, their thing is more to just take over somebody. But I was wondering, again, because we've also heard about hauntings with demons as well.
But with entities, there was some entities that caused quite a problem, even on like the doodle board one. So some were kind of outshoots of a haunting or poltergeist case, but yes, in both of those kinds of cases, there were some negative ones, like one that was quite vulgar, the one that used the doodle board. I mean, definitely, those of course are the scariest, because any message from somebody who's not friendly is never nice, or not treating you friendly.
Yes, plus you don't know who it is.
Scary even when they treat you friendly, Well, that's what I say. One person hears footsteps and yells demon and runs. The other person hears footsteps and says, "Oh, that's fascinating." So, you don't know, but differently. But but especially if you have a message that's clearly lit. But sometimes even the message from friends that appear like time slips, like there's the one, the letter one, where where Donna's thinking maybe we should invite them over. I haven't seen them in a while, and was going to call them up and invite them over for lunch. Never did. And then they find a letter in the mailbox. We stopped by. We happened to be in town. We heard we got your message about lunch or whatever. And they're like, what? And it's like, but I never call. And there's a lot of those kinds of time slip ones too. The ones where I was going to call but I didn't, and then the other person calls you back saying I got your message, and you'd say, well, maybe they called and just forgot. But when you look at all the the context of it and the circumstances and the repeated stories and cases of these kinds, then it becomes really weird, especially when the message is the weirdest thing is when the message is left at a time when the person could not have left the message. So they're like, I was going to call you, but I couldn't. Why? Oh, I was in the hospital, or this happened, or I ended up taking a nap, or whatever. And they're like, no, you did call. No, that's impossible because because whatever, So just even the times don't, those become fascinating. So there's all kinds of, and it's not limited to technology. We've seen it, of course, with computers and cell phones, certainly. But also letters and writings on walls and floors and, doodle boards and cable boxes and radios. And it could be just about any implement, if you will. You can encourage them, I guess. And, is that something that I know you've done yourself, just with that grave you talked about, cameo grave, but is this something you'd say is safe to do, that people could ask for communication, see if they get it? Well, I mean, I don't want to give a recommendation like that. I think the whole point of these messages, I think most of them are, well, as we described them, unexpected. That you're not looking for them. I mean, unless of course it's, I'm not saying go use a Ouija board and invite messages that way. I'm talking about the phantom messages, the unexpected communication, especially communication that has just fascinating elements around it. Sometimes even a message. I knew you were hurt, so that they call to make sure you get help. And other times it's just playing a joke on you, or just saying hello, or it's you just never know.
It's getting that information from someone that you thought about but didn't connect with, and yet they give you the answer. Those are always startling to me. Yes. Yeah, those are always the neat ones. And that's that, of course, section, Jimmy and I call that the chicken soup for the paranormal soul chapter. That's the people one, and then there's of course, the unknown entities that you don't know who or what, and then of course you have that alien, which can come in the form of has a lot of the time slip phenomena, but also has a commonality of insect, metallic, buzzing kind of sounds you often hear described, or that cold kind of mechanical monotone voice, doing stupid interviews. You hear them doing a stupid interview either on the phone or when they knock on your door, but doing a stupid interview on the phone, all of a sudden your phone call's interrupted, and why are you interested in UFOs, or perhaps you should research kites, or whatever. Just stupid, just stupid
stupid interviews that show. It is quite charming though, because I think there's enough proof. I don't know if this is true of all UFOs, because we tend to group them as one, right? But there could be like a million different kinds. So we tend to say all UFOs are like this. They're 3 feet. They're kind of green or gray. I don't know. And they got the almond eyes, and and that's it. That's an alien. And then in the paranormal, oh no, there's like unlimited varieties. But the alien,
yes.
that's it.
Yeah, the mantis,
and even of course. But
the reptilians. Funny, there's so many different races. We've had people on the show say there's 75 that we've identified so far.
Yeah, I mean, I'm being facetious, but that's like what we think of. We think of the one.
Just the grace, yeah.
But the reality is, it's probably all connected. I mean, it's all paranormal, right? But yeah, so those with those sounds and phone call interruptions and surveys being followed. Nick Redfern, I know he shared the personal encounter, and I do agree. If you research UFOs enough, and you that's probably the best way to get a phone call or a weird call of some sort. But, for Phantom Messages, probably a long-winded answer to that. I don't know. I remember showing my dad the cover to Phantom Messages. I knew he wasn't going to, make it for its release, but he did get to see the cover, and I, shared with him some stories and stuff. And I said, if you want to be in this book, I said, you're going to have to call,
Make that call. Drop the dime.
You sure you're going to answer?
Yeah. So, But.
So have you gotten a call?
No.
Not yet?
No, but he probably wouldn't want me to. He probably wouldn't want to prove the book right or something. I don't know.
Typical dad, huh?
I was going to say fathers are like that.
No, he was great. He was proud of the books too, but he thought it was neat. But yeah, I remember joking with him about it, saying, "Now you got to call now. Nothing violent, just phone call. Don't go knocking crap over.
Well, he has instructions. Maybe he will follow through. And we're sorry for your loss, Bill. That's too bad that he passed.
Thank you.
For sure.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, every time you come on the show, we learn something new, and you've had 3 great books. You've had you on 3 times. And what do you have planned for the future?
Thank you. Well, Jimmy and I are working on one, and we're hoping to finish it this year. So we'll see. With all the quarantines, I don't have that many excuses not to be writing. So.
I know, really.
You are now trapped.
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
My goodness. So you want to give us a hint on what it's about?
Little creatures, basically little things. Yeah, we're going to concentrate on very small but largely disturbing, basically.
Oh, sounds great.
Yeah, so it should be fun. So.
Excellent. Well, Bill, thanks again for spending your evening with us and our audience. This is so interesting to hear about these Phantom Messages.
Well,
and again,
thank you.
Everybody go get a copy of this great book, Phantom Messages.
It is
wonderful. Yes, a lot of fun.
You.
While you're sitting in quarantine, you can light some candles and sit in a circle together and take turns reading from the book out loud. What a fun evening that would be. So, Bill, we hope to see you again here on the show. Thank you so much. Stay safe out there, everybody. And we'll be back next week with another great show. Until then, we will see you on the Blue Highway. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for listening. Tune in next week for another radio adventure with Supernatural.